Hello. Well, this is Mrs. Hoffman, just sitting here at my kitchen table, wondering, like the rest of you, whether or not we're going to have school tomorrow, if it's ever going to warm up around here. Um, anyway, I thought that it might be helpful to look at the activity that we had originally planned for today. I thought I would try to do this in a little bit different manner with you guys. What you see on the screen right now is the FRQ that I asked you to attempt on your own. It is not a terribly difficult one, but there's some interesting little nuances in the way that the answers could be written up. So what I need you to do is I need you to um, locate your response to this. If you haven't responded to this FRQ, pause this video right now and please do it. It shouldn't take you more than a few minutes. Again, it's not that difficult a problem. Um, it's just in the writing up of the answers. So at this point, you should have this finished and you should have your answer recorded. Now what I want you to do is I'm going to show you a couple of responses that you could potentially have that, let's just pause that a minute. Okay, so I'm going to show you some responses that people actually wrote in 2010 when this was on their AP test. And there's a part A, a part B. I want you to look at those two responses completely. Remember, each response is essentially correct, partially correct, or incorrect. So based on each of those part A and part B and what you would give it, would you say that overall the response is complete, which would be a number 4, substantial, perhaps there's, an essentially correct and a partially correct, something along those lines. Developing, perhaps there's 2 partially correct ones, or 1 minimal. So here you go. Here is the first student response. We're going to call this one student response A. Remember, you're reading the response and you're going to grade it a 4, 3, 2, or 1 holistically. Here you go. Okay, if you need more time, just go ahead and pause the video so that you can look at it and see what's there. Have you graded it a 4, 3, 2, or 1? Here's the next one. This is part A, a little bit more writing here, so I'll give you a minute to read it and then I'll scroll it down. Again, pause the screen, look at it, decide what you want to grade it. But feel free to stop and start this video as you need to. Here's the entire response for part B. Again, you're grading it a 4, 3, 2, or 1 holistically on whether each part is correct or not. And here is student response C. Go ahead and do the same thing. This is student response C. I'll scroll it down a little bit so that you can read the entire response. Pause if you need to pause, if you need more time to read what's going on. All right. So what you're looking at now is you're taking a look at scoring each of those samples. You're going to score them a 4, 3, 2, or 1. Since you don't really have a group to discuss this with, unfortunately, maybe you can find a way to do that. Let's skip down to number 3. What made the best response of those 3 better than the others? What made it different? Go ahead and list some details, write some stuff down. I know you don't have this worksheet, but you can write it down or on a separate piece of paper. And then lastly, where does your response fit in? I shouldn't say lastly. Where would your response fit um, in relationships to the three that you just saw? Is yours better than those, or would it fit in the middle somewhere? What would you give your response? A 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1? And can you come up with a rubric? What kind of a rubric would be necessary? Um, what kinds of elements would be necessary for a perfect response um, for a student to receive a 4 on this? Again, pause if you need to. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you exactly what the AP graders said about each one of these. Um, the first response, this one, the shortest one, briefest one, this one was the 4. This one earned a 4 because it has all of the necessary elements. You'll notice that there's an indication in part A that we're looking at a sampling distribution because they listed over here, they listed the mean of X bar and the standard deviation of X bar. They correctly calculated the standard deviation over here. Things are well labeled, it's efficient, it's straight to the point. Same thing goes for Part B. In Part B, again, we have an indication here that the person who wrote this understood that we had sampling distributions. This N is 40 for each of these because we have 40 songs that we're playing. Calculated a z-score correctly. Their drawing, their picture, is not necessarily complete and accurate, but the fact that they stated that there's a normal distribution covers the fact that we have a normal curve, and they correctly calculated a z-score. P stands for probability. They calculated the probability. They shaded correctly in their drawing. Great answer. And what the AP graders actually said for this one, you can actually read what they said. It's a very efficient, well-written response. Um, You know, everything was there, all the components were there. They correctly set up a z-score. Everything's essentially correct. This person earned a 4. The second response, this person only earned a 3. This person only earned a 3. And if we take a look back at what this student did, this student correctly ends up with part A is being essentially correct, part B is only partially correct. So when you come back and look at this, yeah, there's a lot of words in here. They addressed the shape, they addressed the center, they addressed the spread, and then they nicely kind of came up and um, put that all together down in the bottom. So part A is essentially correct. Part A is fine. Part B is where they kind of fell apart a bit. Can you note it? Can you realize what they did incorrectly here? The thing that they did incorrectly, you would hope that getting an answer, well, getting an answer so small happens sometimes, but normal, so the standard deviation of 4 songs can be defined. So they said, okay, they calculated a z-score here. And what you might notice is it appears that that standard deviation is not correctly calculated. They should have done standard deviation over square root of n, and then they had to multiply by 40 because there were 40 songs. So this one, they came up with the wrong answer here. So the graders gave that a 3 because they had part A is completely correct. Part B had some correctness in it, but they had the standard deviation incorrect. The third one, here's the one that I found really interesting. This one only got a 2. This one only got a 2, even though they came up with the correct response, the correct probability in part B, but part A was scored as being incorrect. Notice what the graders had to say about this one. The first sentence gives a correct value for center, so they address the center. However, it seems to be referring to the distribution in a single random sample. Let's look at how they worded that again. For a random sample of 40 rock and roll songs, the distribution would be centered at 3.9 minutes. I'm not sure what this law of diminishing returns is. However, they seem to be only looking at one sample of 40 songs and what would it look like, rather than addressing the fact that we have to compare this sample of 40 songs to every possible sample of 40 songs. And that's what was missing here. There was no mention up here of a sampling distribution, no symbols like mean of X bar, standard deviation of X bar, no nothing here that addresses comparing to every other possible sample of 40 songs. So um, the graders graded this part, even though they had the numbers correct, they graded this as incorrect. Bottom half seemed fine. They got the right answer. Their right answer is actually, where is it? Here it is. Their correct answer, they've calculated correctly. However, again, part A, no mention of a sampling distribution. So that one got marked wrong. So this person only got a 2. How did you do? Would you have gotten a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for your response? Write down any questions you have about this and bring them to me and we'll talk about it. This will make some great conversation. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.